Speed. I'm here to talk about success. The first rule of success is to have a vision. You see speed. If you don't have a vision of where you go, and if you don't have a goal where you go, you drift around and you never end up anywhere. I mean, as you know, I was born in 1947 in Austria after the Second World War. Speed. So I was very fortunate that I stumbled onto my vision. And I didn't really like Austria when I grew up. I couldn't wait to get out of there. I couldn't see myself becoming a farmer or a worker in a factory or anything like that. Even though my parents wanted me to stay there and have a normal life, but that was their vision, not mine. My vision was totally different. I felt that I was born for something special, for something unique, for something big, and at a high speed. Then one day I went to school. I remember I was 11 years old, and they showed a documentary about America, speed. There they showed this documentary, the huge skyscrapers, the high rises, the huge bridges, the 6-lane freeways, and all of this stuff. In this instance, I said, that's where I want to be, speed. I don't want to be around here with these little farmhouses and these little buildings, speed. I want to be in America. One day after school, I walked by a store in Graz. So I went inside and I looked around, speed, and then I saw a magazine. There was a bodybuilding magazine that had Reg Park on the cover. Reg Park was then a 3-time Mr. Speed Universe, and I saw him on the big screen as Hercules. I read that and I said to myself, whoa, this is the blueprint for my life. This is exactly what I want to do. I want to become a bodybuilding champion, just like Reg Park. I want to get into movies just like Reg Park. Yeah. And I want to make millions of dollars and be rich and famous just like Reg Park. Do you know how great it felt that I knew where I was going? Imagine the majority of people don't know where they're going. I knew where I was going, that I'm going to become this bodybuilding champion just like him. So it was just a question of, how do you do it? I was so relieved, because when you have a goal, when you have a vision, everything becomes easy. So people always asked me when they saw me in the gym in the pumping iron days, they said, why is it that you're working out so hard 5 hours a day, 6 hours a day, and you always have a smile on your face? And I told people all the time, I said, because to me, I'm shooting for a goal. In front of me is the Mr. Universe title. So every rep that I do gets me closer to accomplishing that goal. To make this vision turn into reality, every single set that I do, every repetition, every weight that I lift, speed will get me a step closer to turning this vision into reality. So I couldn't wait to do another 500-pound squat. I couldn't wait to do another 500-pound bench press. I couldn't wait to do another 2 zalas and reps of sit-ups. I couldn't wait for the next exercise. At the age of 20, I went to London and I won the Mr. Universe contest as the youngest Mr. Universe ever. And it was because I had a goal. So let me tell you something. Visualizing your goal and going after it makes it fun. You've got to have a purpose. No matter what you do in life, you've got to have a purpose. 74% hate their job in America. Now, it's not much different when you come to Europe. The majority of people don't like what they're doing because they're really not doing it because they had a goal. They just aimlessly drift around, and then all of a sudden, if there's a job opening, they take it because you have to work. But then when you work, it's a chore, it's work. It's not fun. Yeah. So if you think about it, only a quarter of the people really enjoy what they're doing in life. That is unbelievable. If you think about it. So I felt so blessed that I knew what I was doing. Speed, it's like a medical student that studies and knows he wants to become a doctor. You know where to go, speed. And the same thing is also in politics. I remember that in politics I had a very clear vision. I will be the leader of California. This is as far as I could go because I was not born in America, so I could not run for president. So being the governor of the fifth largest state, or I should say the largest state, the fifth largest economy in the world, was for me really the ultimate title, the ultimate accomplishment in politics. So even though people came up to me and said, why don't you go and run for something smaller? You're never going to make it. I ran for governor, and then 2 months later, I became governor of the state of California. Again, because I had a very clear vision of what I was going to do with California. So that's rule number 1, have a vision. Rule number 2 is don't listen to the naysayers. Don't listen to the naysayers. Everything I ever did, high speed, the thing that I heard out of people's mouths was, that's impossible. That can't be done. Speed. No, that is exactly what I heard. And of course, I proved to the people that it can be done. So whenever someone said to me, it can't be done, I heard, it can be done. When they said no, I heard, yes. And when they said it's impossible, I heard, it is possible. I'm a strong believer in what Nelson Mandela said, that everything is always impossible until someone does it. Well, I said to myself, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to show it to them. High speed, maybe it has never been done before. That's perfectly fine with me. But I'm going to do it. And I did not listen to the naysayers. It's all about the hard work that you put in. I said, I must have put in 5 to 6 hours a day in bodybuilding. At a high speed, I'm going to do the same thing now for acting. And of course, I went to college to study English. I studied accent removal and acting classes and all of this stuff. All day long, I worked and I worked and I worked. And within a short period of time, I made one movie called Hercules in New York, which of course went right into the toilet. But it didn't discourage me. I still had the same vision. And then all of a sudden, I did Streets of San Francisco, I did Stay Hungry, and Pumping Iron, and The Villain. And then all of a sudden, I was asked by Dino De Laurentiis at Universal Studios to star in Conan the Barbarian. And after I did Conan the Barbarian, the director at the press conference, John Milius, said to the press, if we wouldn't have had Arnold, we would have had to build one. So think about that, The very body that they said could never be sold because the time was wrong. A few years later, I'm doing Conan the Barbarian, and it was the #1 hit at the box office when it came out in the summer of '82. Think about that. The director says if we wouldn't have had his body, we would have had to build one. So all of a sudden my body became an asset, not a liability. And the same thing was with Terminator. After we finished filming Terminator, Jim Cameron said to the press, if Arnold hadn't had that accent and talked like a machine, I think the movie wouldn't have worked. So think about that. The body and the accent that they attacked became an asset, but I didn't listen to those losers. I didn't listen to them at all. The reality of it is that you cannot listen to the naysayers. So this is a very important lesson for all of you. When someone says, this is a stupid idea, in your mind you don't have to say it out loud, but in your mind you say, what do you know?